I wanted to come on here and explain my experience going to Iran. As I see the United States of America gearing up for what looks like what this is a massive escalation. This is a massive escalation in everything that they're doing. Even more escalation than they've already done to Iran. Iran is surrounded by military bases all over. Last year, the United States and Israel, because I cannot separate them, they cannot be separated. They were bombing Iran for 12 days. They killed over 1,000 people. This is on top of all of the decades-long sanctions that have been inflicted on Iran to destroy their economy. Iran is a very rich country, but the problem is they do not bow to the Americans. It was literally one of the most life-changing trips of my life, and I hope that everyone has the opportunity to go to Iran, because there's nowhere else in the world that I've been to that it is a place unlike any other in many regards. But one of the most important ones is that it's completely separate, far and away from American influence. You do not see anything there that is American in the sense that it is directly tied to America. There are things obviously that are American in the sense that it's an imitation, but there's no American corporation that's operating there. When you fly into Iran, no cell phone provider works there except Iranian providers. Your credit cards, your debit cards are not going to work either, because Iran is not part of the central banking system. And this is what it's all about, right? Like, if we understand the global world order and the way that they are knocking off these countries that have been resisting US imperialism, all wars are bankers' wars, right? Iran is one of the last ones standing in not having a central bank. Venezuela as well does not have a Rothschild bank. So last year, before I went to Iran, I'll admit I didn't know much about Iran. But what I did know is that it's very likely that everything I had been trained to believe about this country, like every other country the United States wants to dominate, is a complete fucking lie. I knew that. But aside from that, there was not, it's as an American, it's hard to even access accurate information. We are so inundated with propaganda from birth. And our whole, I went to public school, but even aside from public school, it's like everything in our media, everything that we are exposed to is Zionist. It's Zionism. It's Zionism. US imperialism and Zionism, it's the same fucking thing. So even if you're trying to find accurate information on somewhere like Iran from inside the United States of America, it's almost impossible. But I, along with everyone else last year in June, watched the United States and Israel bomb them for 12 days straight. And I don't need to know everything about the history of a country to know that I do not support that. I do not support foreign intervention on whatever the reasons are at this point. Anyone with 2 fucking brain cells and has read a relatively decent history book knows that. It's the same script every time. They always convince us that they are going into these countries for human rights. What human rights? Why would the United States of America be interested in giving human rights anywhere else in the world? We don't have human rights here. It's hard to decipher that because of the mass media apparatus that is the United States of America. Hollywood and the Department of Defense work together to infiltrate the entire world with this, but we do not have human rights here. We do not even have a democracy here. This is not a democracy. Even if we aren't speaking about the literal facts that it is not a democracy, that your vote does not really matter because it's the Electoral College that determines the presidency, right? The fact that there are billionaires that can just buy politicians and buy elections, and that at itself guarantees that we do not have democracy. We do not have democracy for that very reason, because of economic inequality, extreme economic inequality. So I'm saying all that to say that the United States of America is never going to have good intentions in any intervention they do around the world. I don't see how people are still falling for this bullshit that the United States of America would ever be interested in giving human rights anywhere else. Do you... my conspiracy belief at this point is, you know, obviously aside from the fact that they are just inundate us with dopamine 24/7 to make our brains literal like you know, rats in a cocaine cage, like like your brain doesn't even work. We're literally addicts in so many aspects of this. But aside from all of that, and you know, the reality of, you know, mass media and social media and like the pleasure focused society that we live in that destroys our brains and a lot else, aside from all of that, what the fuck was I even saying? Aside from the pleasure obsessed society that we live in that destroys our brains, I believe at this point that the COVID virus, I mean obviously the COVID virus and COVID was extremely inflammatory, but and also the vaccine was, but one of the major side effects from all of this was memory loss, forgetfulness, and just brain fog. I don't think that it's a coincidence that people just seem to forget over and over and over again. Forget literally. Like, I am a child that grew up watching the United States of America commit war crimes. I mean, 9/11 and Iraq and Afghanistan and everything that they fucking fed us. I mean, at that point, we didn't know the scale of what they were doing over there. Of course, like, even as a child, I didn't understood that why is this something that people are cheering for? But we know what they did there now. We've seen the images, all of the stories. And not to mention Gaza. They've deleted all of these images from the internet for this reason, to just memory hole everything. And people still believe, maybe it's not their fault, people believe that it would be different in Iran. That's what they want to do to Iran, to genocide them, to enslave the people. So seeing what they did in, I mean, it was even, I wouldn't even have any understanding of the scale of what happened in Iran if I hadn't gone there. And at that point, I had a pretty decent social media following. I don't remember, maybe it was like 60K or something on Instagram. And I had made a few posts about Iran. And like, even, I don't have to, as an American, like, I want to focus on human rights abuses in my own country because there's plenty. I shouldn't have to care about anywhere else in the world. Honestly, the reason why we have to fucking care is because it's the United States of America and their policies and their genocides and interventions that are causing human rights abuses there. That's just a general rule. I don't need the straw man argument for everything. So I had made a couple videos at that point just denouncing the United States of America bombing Iran. Like, you don't need to know, you don't have to be an expert in that country or even be from that country to be able to understand that that's a bad thing. Okay? So I had made a few posts about that. And I started getting messages like from someone who said that they were Iranian, but I didn't, like, I've gotten so many, I mostly just get harassed and targeted by Zionists. So even if someone's saying something good to me in the sense like, oh, I have this opportunity, blah, 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 or like this and that, like, I'm always going to think that it's a Zionist until proven wrong. So there was a media organization, or so they said, from Iran that was reaching out to me. And this was after the 12-day imposed war on Iran, where they killed over 1,000 people. And he was asking me if I wanted, they were doing this journalist trip, blah, blah, blah. And as a way to combat the media blockade that's been on Iran. I mean, obviously, you need to be a scholar in anything to know that there is a media blockade on Iran. We only hear stories from the Iranian diaspora. I mean, that's the same for anywhere in the world, right? Like, it's always, of course, like, even social media, it's all the same shit at this point. The Imperial Project funds social media for that reason, because they know that everyone's moved to social media. But it's you're only hearing like voices that are in line with the Imperial Project. So once I was able to confirm, like, with some friends that this person was legitimate, I was getting an invitation to go to Iran and report as a journalist, and I wasn't going to turn that down. Like, what an opportunity. But the other, I've gotten a lot of hate for that, for going. But I always make the point that I would have never gone to Iran if my country hadn't just been bombing them for 12 days. That I wouldn't have gone there. I know for a fact I would not have been there last year. It's just a fact. So, and that's the other thing. Like, it's American sanctions that are killing Iranians. It's American weapons at that point, and years prior, that are killing Iranian people. So before I went to Iran, like, I always, like, baseline have imposter syndrome. So yeah, like, I felt like unworthy of that invitation to be able to even go and report on this. And I've gotten a lot of hate from people of like, oh, like, you don't know Iranians, like, you listen to Iranians. That's not true. Like, I do have Iranian friends who don't support U.S. intervention and who are not Zionists, by the way. I have Iranian friends that live in the United States of America I even have Iranian friends that don't support that government. Even that person, they do not support U.S. intervention, and they want the imperial powers to leave their country alone. And they can recognize that. And there's like, so I spoke to both of those people before I went to, like, kind of get a feel of, like, is this something that I should just definitely not do? And both of them supported me in going. And I asked them to send me everything so that I could study about this place, because actually, as an American, and just using the World Wide Web, right? Like, you can't even find, like, accurate information. It's all super suppressed, if it's even available. So, especially on a country like Iran. So prior to going to Iran, I super crammed. I read, I studied, and at that point, I've read, like, a bunch of books on, like, U.S. intervention. So, I mean, I knew something about Iran. I knew that in 1951 they nationalized the oil, it kicked the British out, and obviously the British were very pissed about that. And then they went to the Americans and were like, hey, like, can you help us out? Like, we want to get our oil back. So then in 1953, they were able to institute a coup and overthrow the democratically elected government. And at that point, they installed the Shah, who was, I mean, in Iran, there's a whole museum dedicated to the way that he tortured and imprisoned and killed his people. So I learned about all of that, and to even, like, be able to go to Iran, like, I mean, they don't even, first of all, they don't really give visas. It's mostly Iranians or, Iranian people that have Iranian descent that are able to go. They don't really, especially, allow Americans into their country for good reason. I mean, so the Iranian Revolution was in 1979, and ever since that point, the Americans and the imperial powers, including Israel, have been trying to overthrow that democratically elected government. After the 1979 revolution, the United States used Iraq as a proxy to wage an 8-year imposed war on Iran, and they tried to break Iran, and actually Iran didn't even lose 1 inch of their territory. That's how strong they are. So when I was actually still working at my last job and as a nurse practitioner at that point, and I got the opportunity to go, and I wasn't going to be able to get vacation, so I took a risk. Like I said that I was sick. I had a great relationship with my manager at that point, the director of I worked at a women's shelter, and the director that was on site with me, she was always super supportive of me. Like she knew about like my social media platform and my beliefs, and was always very supportive of me. And I told her, and she supported me. But like, the wider corporate structure, I'm sure ours are in it. Well, I know at this point that they are, but they didn't, I don't know. But I called in sick basically to be able to go to Iran. But like, what was I going to do? Like turn that down? That was, yeah. So being able to go to Iran, you have to get a visa, and the embassy, it's the consulate that's in DC, like they're the ones that handled it for me. And I flew out of JFK. To even be able to check into your flight, like you have to show them your visa, and you can't do it at a kiosk. They send you to like an actual legitimate person, and they're like manually checking it in it. It's like a whole thing. It's like, and yeah, I just didn't believe it. I did not believe that I was going to make it to Iran until I literally landed. Even when I landed, I felt like, oh, something's going to happen, that they're going to like turn me around and be like, fuck this bitch. But, yeah, like, even like, okay, so my flights were from JFK to, I think I flew into Dubai. So JFK to Dubai, and then from Dubai, there's lots of flights that go to Tehran. So at that point, it was like Fly Dubai or whatever. Like, I think it was like an hour and a half flight to Tehran, and it was like a smaller plane, and the plane was at least like half empty. But even like flying, when you see on the map, like the screen of like you're flying over Tehran, it's just like, as an American, flying into a country that literally your entire life you've been told that is, they just want to kill Americans, death to America, and it's this evil place, they're bloodthirsty, they're this, they're that. And so it feels pretty incredible in that, even in that sense, like this is a foreign land that's basically forbidden, and even obviously like forbidden in many ways of being able to travel there, but forbidden in even being able to look at them as people. That's what they teach us in the United States of America. I mean, that's also what they teach us about Palestinians, that they're all terrorists. Coincidence? Flying into Iran, like as an American, like before I went, like I had my friend who's Iranian kind of like go through, I had a lot of questions of like, how do I like comport myself in, the culture there, and like are there any like faux pas that like if I do, it's gonna, whatever. Like she went through everything with me. She's like, no, you're gonna be fine, like this and that. And yeah, I, wore the headscarf, and I mean, that's the other thing, like being there and seeing it in person, it's not as they portray it in many ways. But I landed, and even like getting through like security and whatever, like you like hand them your American passport. I went with a group, like it was like a media group that organized the trip for foreign journalists to report on what had happened, because they're obviously not showing these images in of course, the United States of America, but like wider mainstream media. So that was the purpose of the trip. And when I handed them my passport, she was like, "Oh, like go over there." And I thought like like sent into some like questioning room. No, it was basically like a VIP, not VIP, but like they were all waiting there to greet us, and there were 3 other Americans that went along like on the trip. I think it was like in total maybe like 15 to 18 journalists from all over the world who went. But from the first moment I arrived, I mean, it's just like just going off of vibes, like touching down in the United States of America is it's not it. But flying into Iran, like look, this is my personal experience, and maybe, you know, people are going to hate on me for being American and being white and blah blah blah, but look, like this is my take on this. The energy is different. The energy is welcoming. The energy is nice. Like it's not like for so many reasons. But everyone that I met there was they're very lovely people. They're very educated, but they're tired. They're exhausted. They're tired under, you know, living under the boot of the US imperialism. So you sense that. But very nice, very lovely, very beautiful country. It the United States of America like does not compare in any way, shape, or form for so many things. But anyways, first thing I asked one of the coordinators was, tell me like what's off limits in like what I'm able to take pictures of, what I'm able to ask about, what I'm able to. And she said, no, like nothing. You have like a journalist visa. You are allowed to take pictures of whatever. There's nothing that's off limits. Anything and everything you want. And that's how it went. Like they did not tell us what we could talk about, what we were allowed to report on, how to shape any sort of narrative. There were no directions given in that sense. And I know that these Israeli influencers or the Zionist influencers who get those $7,000 checks. By the way, I was not paid for this. I was not paid to go. Yes, they paid for my flight and accommodations, but just think about it. Like, most independent journalists, because I mean, mainstream journalists are obviously not going to go to Iran or report on Iran in a fair way. Independent journalists are fucking broke because they're not being fucking paid $7,000 per post by Israel. Okay? But I was not paid to go. I did not make any money from that trip. I actually lost money because I had to, leave my job, and then I ended up getting fired from my job. So that's another story. But so one of the main things that you will notice about Iran being there is the complete absence of like advertising everywhere in the United States of America, especially New York City. Like we are inundated with it everywhere. Like, and I'm not talking about, I don't know for everything, but being on their streets, being out in public, being anywhere, you're not seeing like this disgusting marketing everywhere. Actually, they have art. I mean, I only went to Tehran. Like, I would love to go back and see the rest of the country. But in Tehran, like, it's still a beautiful city. It's more beautiful than New York City, that's for sure. It's also like much more better maintained. Like in New York City, it's disgusting. Like there's fucking trash everywhere. It's dirty. There's potholes all over the streets. We have homeless people all over the streets, dying on the streets from all sorts of things. But you don't see any of that there in Tehran. So, and one of the main things that stuck out to me was how like there's no like fucking ads everywhere. That's just those are my first takes. The other thing that stood out to me being there as a woman is obviously there's cultural differences between like major cultural differences between the United States of America and Iran, and that is an understatement. But As a woman, I felt extremely respected there, way more than being in the United States of America. Like, if we're only talking about like women's liberation and the status of women based on a headscarf, it's so superficial. As a woman in America and New York City, you are regularly catcalled. You are regularly disrespected. Like, it's laughable that the United States of America or women or other people living in the United States of America think that they have any moral authority to speak about the status of women in any other country. I believe the United States of America is probably has one of the worst records of human rights abuses against women in this country. Like, but in Iran, like, I don't know, it's just a feeling. Like, you feel respected as a woman there for the most part. You don't like in America, like it's so bad. Like, it's literally so bad. Like, for so many reasons. I'll just give you a statistic that it's like you don't even need to learn anything else about this fucking shithole. But what is it? The highest risk of death to a pregnant woman in the United States of America is homicide. Yeah, by her partner. That's the status of women in the United States of America. I at that time was working at a women's homeless shelter in New York City. So I have really seen the worst of human rights abuses against women, against children in the United States of America. So it's pretty laughable to me that a place like this that, was the headquarters of Jeffrey Epstein, the most notorious and probably, I mean, this is just scratching the surface of the sex trafficking and child trafficking rings that are based out of New York City and wider country and world. But look, Iran is not on the Epstein list. I don't think that there's any Iranians that were in the Epstein files. I am able to, like, I have not seen that. The thing that everyone speaks about Iran, the thing that everyone addresses about Iran is the hijab, but actually being there in person, you see that it's not, it's most women. I mean, when I was making videos about it, I said, like, okay, I think it's about 30% of women here are like full hijab. Another third, it's like kind of, a scarf, just like with a lot of hair like coming out. And then another third, it's like full third not wearing it at all. Well, most of them have like the scarf just like draped around their shoulders, like if need be. But it's not, maybe I think on the books, like, it's still like that they need to wear hijab, but when you're walking down the streets, that's not the way that it is anymore, which I think is good. I don't think that anyone should be forced to dress a certain way at all. But like, that's just not, it's not the concern. Why should that be the concern of Americans? Literally, it's so fucking stupid. Like, we have enough problems here especially against the status of women. Like, I know that the maternal mortality rate in Iran is much better than in the United States of America. That should tell you, again, everything that you need to know. And I asked women there, like, who were also journalists or kind of like affiliated with the trip or what. It's like, also, like, there were plenty of people on that trip that were talking shit about their own government. Like, it's not like they're scared to speak. Like, I spoke to many. That's the kind of the mindset that I went in as well, of like thinking like, oh, like, they're probably not going to want to say anything about this. That's not how it is at all. Like, the people on the trip, or the people that I met, or people like on the street or anywhere, because I spoke to a lot of people, like, every time I got a chance to, people had no problem saying their opinions, and there's a whole range of opinions, just like anywhere else in the world. So I didn't see that. And people can say whatever they want about that, but that was what I saw. That was my experience. But the thing I heard again and again is that even if we don't support this government, we want even less. The United States, we don't, even if we don't support this government or know that there's corruption happening or whatever it may be, we do not support the United States or Israel or any foreign intervention in determining how we should live our lives, or take away our self-determination. And that 12-day imposed war made them more united than ever. That's what you have to realize is that was the result of it. The Iranian people came together even more, and maybe the younger people who didn't fully understand like what the older generations were talking about of, the evils of the American empire, because all they had been fed is, I don't know, fucking the Terminator. I don't watch movies, so I don't know like the latest titles, but like fed all this propaganda and believing, like the American dream, that it's all a lie. That the younger generation was able to see the true face of the Americans and the Israelis. When I was there, though, I did get the full force, I think, of the Iranian Zionists. And I think Iranian Zionists are special in a lot of ways, because it's like I had already obviously dealt with Jewish Zionists and Israeli Zionists, like full force, at many like points along my journey. But Iranian Zionists, I think, are particularly vicious. And there was, I think, like the second or third night that I was there, I was kind of like, I was just in shock, because I don't think that, like, I don't know, your traditional Zionists had put in that much effort in trying to, like, I don't know, destroy me or destroy my platform. Like, I did get doxxed and had a whole host of things happen to me, but the Iranian Zionists, like, they were all making like videos about me being in Iran. So, and I didn't know what to believe. Like, I was so disturbed. So, and it was getting to me for some time. I mean, I think when I first arrived there, I hadn't slept in like 48 hours, and it's just a lot. Like, it's literally a lot, like everything. But I called up one of my friends, and basically, I had to have like a crisis intervention of her, like talking through all of this, and her explaining to me kind of like Iranian Zionism and like, talking me down of like this, like, you're doing the right thing, and these people are unhinged, and like, just don't listen to them. And it hurt, and I don't know, it's like the whole like Palestine solidarity movement. It's, I mean, it's been so fractured in so many ways, but that's like been their whole strategy. I mean, not even in the past 3 years or whatever, but all along the way. And one of those fracture points is about Iran. Everything's so convoluted, but that's been the point of their media strategy, like imperial media strategy. But yeah, I did lose, I think I lost a few friends, I'm sure, or like a lot of people unfollowed me, or accused me of supporting the regime or whatever. Like, it's one of those things, like, if people are telling you that you don't have a right to learn about something or speak about something, then that is telling you that like, you probably do need to learn about that something, and you probably do need to speak about that something. But obviously, I understand it's hard to get real facts and information in the United States of America about any of these places. We've been so inundated and propagandized, and it's like, no one's ever saying, like, this is their thing, right? It's like, they love to say now, like, this is literally out of the CIA playbook of, oh, listen to Syrians, listen to Venezuelans, listen to Israelis, listen to Iranians. Do you ever hear anyone ever saying, listen to Americans? No, it's like, because the entire world understands, like, the entire world is able to look at Americans and basically paint us all with a broad brush that we are stupid and heavily propagandized. And that's true for a lot of people. But also, I think that people really underestimate the extent to which they've been propagandized. The propaganda and the media apparatus is not limited to the United States of America. It's global. So we don't even understand like the true scope and scale of it. But as an American, you don't even need to worry yourself with any of that. The only thing that we need to worry about is not supporting US intervention in any way, shape, or form. That's you don't need to understand the intricacies and the, this and that. It's like, that's not your problem. Why should that be your problem? Like, it's when the American exceptionalism and narcissism that we've been born and bred with, like, conjoins with our concern for, human rights and whatever. And it's like, it conjoins with the imperial strategy of convincing us that we should know better about how anywhere else in the world or any other people in the world should be living their life. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, that's none of my concern because I don't care. It's none of my concern because I don't live there. Like, because I am not from there. Like, why should I have anything to say about how people halfway around the world fucking live their life? Like, they should be able to decide that for themselves. And if they have a problem with the way things are running, don't you think, like, I want everyone to have self-determination and sovereignty. And that's what the United States of America has convinced the American people, that any other people around in any other country of the world do not deserve that. And that's what you're playing into when you, I don't know, have convinced yourself and those around you that you are qualified and entitled to speak on that. You're not. The only thing that you need to worry yourself with is denouncing US intervention, denouncing your tax dollars going to these war crimes, and like really be interfering in any other country's affairs, like whatever it may be. I mean, just look at look at the playbook, look at the history, look at the track record. Anyone still falling for this shit? It's like, I feel bad for you, honestly. Like, but that's, I don't know, that's been their stated aim, right? Like, they want us to be stupid, and they've definitely succeeded. I am praying for Iran, and like, it's just so unfair, for the people there that are having, I mean, people anywhere in the world that are having to live through what the United States is imposing upon them. But that's been their playbook ever since 1893. So nothing's changed. The script, the tools change a little bit each time, but it's the same. They're an expansive colonial project. So to think that it's anything else is delusion at this point. Well, it's been delusion. To think that it's anything else is quite literally delusion.